Fiesta Friday continues right here on KUAM, and the very lovely Deanna Palmer, the woman who has every answer that we would ever want to know about anything real estate.
Okay.
And by the way, no pressure for our next segment.
Exactly.
But Deanna, this month is particularly interesting for people of your ilk, because we are actually talking about, and you are educating the community on fair housing, and what to do if you're a buyer or seller, and basically knowing your rights either way.
Right. So this happens every year nationally in the U.S. for real estate. National Association of Realtors launches the Fair Housing Awareness Month. So it's always in April. We have always participated, but it's been pretty low-key. We've had some, every year we have a proclamation, and we get pictures with the governor and like that. But this year we decided to try to do more on public awareness and what is fair housing, and how can you make sure that you're not being discriminated against. And there's specific things that the realtor, we have a code of ethics, and part of our code of ethics is to follow these same guidelines as far as non-discriminatory behaviors. So we're not allowed to steer a buyer to a particular neighborhood because it has or doesn't have a certain type of culture. Mm-hmm. So
maybe say, like, I think you would be a better fit
in
this cul-de-sac.
That's discrimination.
Yeah.
So what are the categories?
Thank you for labeling me as the bad guy. I'm an actor, so I'm just,
Thank you for being the fall guy.
Yeah, you're very welcome. It's what I do.
Appreciate that.
Story of my life.
Okay, so the law makes it illegal to for any discrimination in the sale, lease, or rental of housing, or making housing otherwise unavailable because of a race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin.
Now, you would think that would be a given, because part of what you do as realtors is you're salespeople. But then, I mean, you're also counselors, you're advisors. Your job is very, very broad. But at its core, you're also trying to connect people and make a sale. So I would think that it would just be obvious. It's like, well, whatever closes the deal. Is that not correct?
So let's say we have an owner and they say to us, I don't want any kind of this type of country living or renting in my place. We have to say, I'm sorry, sir, we can't take your listing because that violates fair housing laws.
Okay, I got you.
So we, as the professionals, we have to continue educating the public, because sometimes they don't know that that falls into that category. We know, so we have to follow it. So we educate the owners, we educate the tenants, the sellers, and the buyers. Yep.
This is also very interesting to me, because since we're talking about your industry on a national scope, communities like, you've got communities in Missouri, up in Chicago, in Los Angeles right now, because that city is trying to prime itself to be the host of the 2024 Olympics. You see gentrification happening like a lot. This actually seems to maybe take almost like maybe a more socialist approach, and maybe like more balanced. And like you said, it's non-discriminatory.
Well, it actually started back civil rights in 1866.
Interesting.
The Civil Rights Act of 1866 provides all racial discrimination in the sale or rental of property. So that was where it started. And then over the years, it has gotten more clear, and different categories have been identified as, you can't discriminate against these folks. Mm-hmm. For instance, people who have a pet, it's not a pet, it's a working dog for their condition, in an environment where normally pets are not allowed by the owner would not be able to say, no, you can't have your pet, because the pet is not a pet, it's a working animal for that handicapped person. So those issues sometimes come up.
I think I'm better educated about it right now, because like I said, ignorantly, where I was saying before, it would seem like as a salesperson you just want to close the deal. Now you're kind of like the gatekeepers to make sure that the entire real estate industry and process is flowing smoothly.
Well, and part of the public education is the fact that if a person kind of gets a red flag or an uncomfortable feeling, what do they do about it? When you're working with a realtor, you can come to the Guam Association of Realtors office and file a complaint. And there will be an investigation about whether or not that was truly discrimination. So there's a process in place to actually have some sort of action to satisfy the complaint.
How prevalent is the problem, let's say, of discrimination, like when it comes to real estate on Guam?
You know, we are a melting pot, which is really great. So most of the time it's not a problem. But every once in a while, you know, mostly it's just through ignorance of that action would be discriminatory. It's not intentional.
Right.
It's not usually intentional.
So you can kind of just tell people, well, that would set off a red flag, FYI. And,
FYI, we can't do it that way. If that's what you want to do,
let me steer you in the proper direction.
You know, we need to, yeah.
Okay. So where can people go for more information? Because this is fascinating, and it seems like this would be a watershed time for your industry, and you know, like, because you guys are basically like I said, you're the quality assurance agents.
So, and every 4 years we have to go through ethics training, and so this year it's up. So I would say call a realtor. We are trained in what discrimination is or isn't, and can advise owners and tenants how to move forward. The end of this month, we are going to do a WAVE campaign at the Paseo. So that'll be the ending. We are doing some ads, some other radio interviews, and there'll be an article in one of the magazines as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming in. You're always welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll
Appreciate
see you next time.
it.
All right. Well, we will see you on the flip side of this break. Please stay tuned.